Right around that time, of course, was the financial crisis, and that probably precipitated Madoff's unraveling. What do you make of the financial crisis and the aftermath?
You talk about 2008?
Yeah.
Well, it should never have happened. It should never have happened. There were these mortgage-backed securities had been created. They'd always existed, mortgage-backed securities, but very fancy ones were getting created. And they had all kinds of this and that and so on and so forth. And in the old days, the rating agencies, their customers were the buyers of bonds, the bond rating agencies. So they wanted to do right by their customers. But at a certain point, and you'd get a report every week or a newsletter or something like that. But with the internet coming along, people were sharing this who didn't subscribe. So the rating agencies decided, okay, we're not going to charge the buyers of the bonds. We're going to charge the sellers of the bonds. Now, if you think about it, that's a conflict of interest because they really want to get the bond, have the bonds sold. So maybe they won't be so tough in rating them. And that's what happened. The stuff was sold, which you'd have to be a moron, and stamped AAA. And you know, people were getting mortgages, no docs. You'd walk in, you'd get a mortgage. How much money do you have? Oh, I have $100,000. And how much money do you make? Oh, I make $200,000. Okay, fine, we'll give you this much of a mortgage. Well, they didn't even ask for documents in many cases, or your income tax forms. And why were the banks being so lenient? Because they could sell them to people who would package up these mortgages and put them, they ultimately end up as a mortgage-backed security, stamped AA, AAA. So everything had just become very lax. And Bear Stearns, for example, which was a firm that we had always had great confidence in. They were very conservative outfit. They almost went down the drain because of this. Fortunately, they didn't. We had money with them, and as soon as it looked like they were going to be in trouble, we bailed out and got out 3 days before they folded. Then we were working with Lehman Brothers. We had a lot of money with Lehman Brothers. But this is Medallion and so on. We had a lot of money with Lehman Brothers, and some of our outside funds also did. But it was beginning to look not so good for them. And I called up the head of Lehman Brothers and said, you know, Dick, we're going to have to take some of our money out. I'm going to have to take half of it out. I'm uncomfortable with that much being with you. And he said, okay, fine. So we did that. And then things were looking worse and worse. And we had some insight into their balance sheet, and we knew it was stuffed with a lot of the assets with these mortgage-backed securities. And I called him, and I remember I was driving, and I said, Dick, we're going to have to take out the rest of the money. And he said, I thought you called me to buy these new bonds that we're issuing. They're oversubscribed, but for you, I'll give you a piece. And I said, well, I don't want to buy your bonds, but I'll wait a few days and see how they sell before I take the rest of the money out. And a few days went by, then the list of buyers of these bonds came out, and it was the most unsophisticated group of an obscure teacher's retirement fund. No reputable or big outfit was buying these bonds. And said, I called him and said, okay, we're taking the rest of the money out. And that was 3 months, I think, before Lehman collapsed. So, but if the rating agencies had done their job, this would not have happened. But no one wanted to blame the rating agencies, because who's ever heard of rating agencies? I mean, the newspapers want to blame the banks, right? They want to blame the big players. But it was, you know, maybe not quite as simple as I'm saying, but it was a mortgage-backed collapse, and these bonds were rated improperly. That's what happened.